Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week for Lawyering Outside the Lines. Brooke and I are very happy to be with you today. This is a special week celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday yesterday and a presidential inauguration tomorrow. We've all been going through some interesting times, personally, professionally, maybe both this last year, but it leads us to think about one of my favorite, and Brooke's too, one of our favorite MLK Jr. quotes. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. Kind of like we talked about last week, there are things beyond our control that we have to decide how to manage and how to react to. But today we're going to talk about that change that is happening to us, kind of beyond our control, but how we can make it happen for us instead of, it being bad. Let's turn it into good.
Right. So the first is the change in government, laws, and your work. So whatever your political feelings, this is not a political conversation, but we as a country are going to have some big changes tomorrow. That is something that is beyond our control. So some people may be happy and some may be sad, but the reality is that that change is occurring. It is taking place. And for many of our colleagues listening today, this will have significant implications, significant impact on their everyday lives and businesses. So it's me this time. I can't talk this go around. Immigration attorneys are already seeing positive intentions put out by the president-elect that have them excited about the new administration. We've seen criminal, personal injury, other litigation attorneys worried about potential jury pools with the distrust of the government and laws that we've seen. You may also have experienced a change in your work environment. I think a lot of people have. If you work at a firm, there may have been layoffs, furloughs, lessening of clients, and that's a change in your income that you didn't want or ask for. And a lot of people are going virtual. So that may be something that continues on, and it's not necessarily for everybody. So I'll talk about some ways you can work these changes in to your favor in just a few minutes.
So the other thing that we'll talk about with change that is kind of happening for everyone, whether we like it or not, is a change in lifestyle. And I'm going to get personal for a minute. This past year, we've all had significant changes in lifestyle. Many of you know that I have multiple sclerosis. I'm not shy about sharing that. And I really haven't been out of the house much since early March. Brooke and I were just talking before we got on with you guys about a family member of hers who also has a autoimmune disease that hasn't left the house pretty much since March. So for me, a lot of it has to be, or is related to the fact that in November of 2019, I had a virus-induced MS flare that forced on me several firsts. First time needing 911 for myself, first time in an ambulance, first overnight stay in a hospital. It was a terrifying experience that definitely has colored the way I've treated the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, the coronavirus pandemic basically reared its ugly head just a couple of months after I got out of the hospital with my virus-induced, I can't see, and I'm in the hospital for several days. So I really isolated myself. I got depressed. I'm a social introvert, but even me, I reached a breaking point of no human interaction that was very mentally unhealthy for me. So what have I done with this change? How have I reacted to this change in my way of living? And I'll be honest that I haven't necessarily handled everything well or in the best manner. I've ticked off several friends by lecturing. I use air quotes only because it was not intentional. Lecturing about social distancing and going out. I didn't intend to lecture. I just wanted to educate, share information, but it always came off as I know more than you and you're doing it wrong to certain people. And I get that. And I've really tried to work on myself throughout this process because I definitely have the free time like most of us do. I can't control how people take what I say or how I say it, but I can reflect on how I want people to perceive me and my intentions and make adjustments in how I interact and how I share, my knowledge or whatever, so that I want the perception of me to be positive as opposed to lecturing and negative and know-it-all, that kind of thing. So this forced change that didn't allow me to fly, literally or figuratively, got me out walking, literally walking because I adopted a dog in August and I walk with him every day. So the sunshine, fresh air, exercise has done wonders for my health. Sometimes when I couldn't walk, I crawled. If I didn't want to write in my journal because I was sick of my computer, it was kind of my entire work and social interactive environment for many, many, many months. I downloaded an audio to text app that allowed me to speak my thoughts and then copy and paste the words into my journal. I share my journal online with my therapist so that she can kind of see what's going on throughout the weeks that we don't talk to each other. And yes, I've occasionally stopped moving, and that was the depression, but I also give myself permission to accept that. So that's huge. And it's just, a process for everybody, but that forced change of lifestyle, we can either sit with it or we can figure out how to grow and learn from it.
And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that, because I think it's scary and hard sometimes for people, especially in our profession. We tend to kind of, push forward, move along, just shake it off, keep going. You don't have time to stop or, for self-care or to reflect. And so, the fact that you have that awareness and that you've developed these coping tools, I think is super beneficial for other people. So thanks for, putting it out there and being vulnerable and sharing that. There's a saying that the only constant in life is change. So we're talking about change. And the only thing that we can do with change is reflected in our attitude and actions, like Laura said, move instead of sinking backward or standing still. So one thing you can do is choose to remain positive. It's not always easy, but having having a positive, I'm telling you, Laura and I did a lot before this, and Laura stumbled on a couple words. It was mainly one she couldn't say. Me, I'm just missing all the words, not even a pattern. But choose to remain positive. So having a positive attitude, it shows leadership and it shows fortitude. And you've heard that litigation attorney who is worried about jury pools, and try and spin it for yourself and those around you that there may be new opportunities for tactics and strategies, because now you may know what some people are thinking based on their backgrounds versus having to, guess. So look at the negatives as a lesson and not a curse. So the only way to keep moving forward, if things are not looking positive, is to take that step back and look at the lessons in the trials instead of drowning in the bad. So what did you learn? How can that new knowledge help you grow or pivot? If you experienced a downslide in new clients, look at your marketing, conversion tools, and message. I have a little slot hole over here for my mail, and I don't know why they're coming so late, but anyways, of course they're coming right now. Change your self-talk. One of the big things that Laura and I work on is self-talk. So the more positive your self-talk is, the more positive your attitude is going to be. So you may decide a new mantra works for you. Something like, I am powerful. I am statements are really good. And can get 10 new clients next month. Or I like the idea that I believe the jury will see the truth. Or simple shifts like instead of that was stupid about some action you just performed, something like I could have done that better. Let me think about how. So those are just a few things that we implement in our lives. Again, appreciate Laura, you being vulnerable and sharing. I think it's helpful to a lot of people and gives them permission to, admit some of their struggles. And hopefully you guys can take some of the things today and implement them. And it's going to help you to handle some of these changes a little bit better and to be able to navigate them well. Thank you guys for joining us for Lawyering Outside the Lines. We are here every Tuesday at 1 Eastern, 12 Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining us today.